Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. It's your weekly upload. Um, First weekend of PQs is over. Gonna go over the results a little bit. Some of them are store showdowns that I've got on here, and just kind of what I expect in the coming weeks and, what happened last week. We're entering the second weekend, so we'll see how it goes. But, first deck from store showdown, it's Luke. It's pretty basic. There are some unique things in this deck. So I'm going to go over the deck, and then we'll go on to the next one. Starting it off, 3 Chewies, 3 Cintas, 3 Edorim Constables. Kind of self-explanatory here. Chewy's just good. Obviously, don't play him too much against red decks, but against those decks that are going to be playing removal against you, keep them there. Cinta for your flip turns, just to not get screwed over with Luke, and just for that action compression. Edorim Constable for any other pilots you're going up against or upgrades in general. 1-drops for this deck, not 1-drops, turn 1s for this deck are pretty straightforward. 3 of the Y-Wings, 3 black ones, only 2 A-Wings, and 2 Jedi Starfighters. That one kind of threw me off a little bit, but it does make sense. Your A-Wings are kind of your weaker turn 1. But there are 3 Cavern Angels, which means not expecting, this was a store showdown, but it was a larger one. Not expecting a lot of Talzin or even Maul or a Sing, which is surprising because I do expect to see that later on in this meta when pilots go away a little bit more. But as of right now, not a big enough threat apparently for Luke to not win with those units. 3 Kit Fistos, 2 K-Wings. I expect, honestly, Luke players are going to go to a 3rd K-Wing, just for those big liberties, or the Obi-Wan players playing those ghosts. Jedi Starfighter works really well with that hotshot maneuver that a lot of people are playing. A lot of people are running Stay on Target instead of Trench Run, just for the consistency and the fact that it replaces itself in your hand. The unique thing in this deck is Clone Combat Squadron. I think they just want a bigger unit on the board, and they're trying to create that with the timely reinforcements, which is why that is there too. I could be wrong, of course. They got Agnag too for pump. But aside from that, pretty standard deck. Sideboard, it's got the credit Hay with Arvel. Kelleran to go wide against those more control-y decks. Obviously not really control in the meta at the moment. Eager Escorts, just for, other space decks, I assume. Just to get the big units out of the way sooner. Collateral Damage, pretty explanatory. You use that, do 2 to unit in a base, or 2 to 2 different units. Use Luke's ping to finish him off. Eye of Aldani, I didn't realize Luke was kind of afraid of go wide decks, so I'm confused about that, but it's there. So, it must have been there for something. I'm not quite sure why, though. Tobias. This Tobias is kind of different than what I was expecting Tobias players to do. Obviously, my thinking and most people's thinking, I think, with the deck is have units with detrimental when defeated abilities, give them to your opponent, flip, play a big thing with all the credits you get. But this deck's top end is not very high. It tops out with Bladewing and Finn. So they're playing pretty aggressively here. They have Kirsten, which that's how I'm pronouncing his name because I'm not even going to try it. That's the biggest card in the deck, and that's pretty obvious why it's there. It's just send it into a big ground unit, get that extra overall damage for probably a win. Lost and Forgotten for some removal, heal your base, System Shock for those pilots that are non-leader, or any upgrades in general. You've got the Sun Ferocity on flip, Nimble Prowess is a good upgrade. Mastery I still hate so much. I just think there are better upgrades than a 3-cost 3/3. Ascension Cable for the Saboteur. One-off, so all of these upgrades are one-off. It seems like the main goal here is to put them onto Tobias. You've got the Arvel Skeen, where you can use your own credit tokens or just your opponent's. So Val and the Two-Faced Trog, the only things that you're really giving your opponent. Stolen AT Hauler, it hits back hard, so really you just want to give it to them on your flip turn before it can punch you in the face. Aside from that, their turn 1s are pretty decent. Rio is in there because, I like Rio as a card. I was testing him in Java Blue just to return, go right into hand, and replay them. It's great. But yeah, a little bit different than what I was expecting for Tobias. I mean, I think the main goal here really is just the aggressive negotiations, flip Tobias early, put the upgrades on him, Agneg into base, right? Like, just chip away a little bit, flip, do that whole thing. Commandeer makes sense, just with the amount of pilots. But other than that, not a deck I know a whole lot about. Sideboard, I mean, it's Hyperspace Disaster, Detonation, EMP, Arval, Ascension Cable. So, go through Sentinels, board wipes, EMP for vehicles, and then Arval for the fucking Lando players. Yularen 1-1. The players yearn for new Sabine. You know, the aggro players, they need their play ground unit. Well, not just strictly ground units. They need their play tiny unit deck with an early flip leader. I mean, it's basically Leia, but people tried Leia too. Sabine was just better. This is the new, or not the new, but their new aggro deck. Using the splash base for Hana, IG-88, and then they're running Invisible Hand for their plethora of droids. It's a pretty unique deck. You know, haven't seen a whole lot of Yularen, of course. I mean, it's week 1, so haven't seen a whole lot of anything. But some decks are more expected than others. This one, I mean, it's something. I understand, honestly, the Invisible Hand makes sense with Yularen because it's giving you 2 units, and then you're using Yularen to attack with both of them. So it does make sense. 3 Suddens, yeah, Craving Powers makes sense. Charged with Treason, I don't know how reliable that is in this deck, just because there are a few cards that just aren't going to hit it. Agneg, I mean, you got to have in there. Enforce Squadron, 5-3 hidden, or Enforcer Squadron, sorry. Droid Missile Platform. Sideboard, they don't have Planetary Bombardments. They got a Battle Fury, they got System Shocks, it makes sense. Overcharged Transport for more upgrade removal. I think, honestly, that I don't know if Overcharged Transport is as good as just running the Constable, because this deck does have ground presence. Yeah, it's an odd one, but I'm kind of liking it. I might have to try this out. 1 Devastator inside, 1 L3. I think L3s and Invisible Hand, I mean, this is a pretty big droid deck here. I don't know. I mean, it worked, so... And also, I'm seeing a lot of people, just 50 cards. Also, yeah, 50 cards. Last one, I read it, and I was like, oh, it's 52, or 62. Melee counts the leader in base. That's why I was about to say something on this one. Chewie. I was sad that I didn't see any Enfys Nest winners, but here's another, not quite the same, but similar. You know, it's your red-yellow heroism. Play unit, swing unit, flip leader early. They are not using the, whatchamacallit, the 1 cost card to create a credit to flip 2 on 2, which kind of makes sense because turn 2 Chewie is a trap, as fun as it is. Their turn 1s are solid. I mean, you've got Bale, Karis, the Sheathipede. I don't love the Sheathipede. Some people are addicted to it. So, I mean, you do you. And then they've got the Red Squadron Y-Wing, which is a lot stronger than I ever saw it being. And the N1 Starfighter, which I don't love. But I guess they kind of want a pretty even split of ground and space units in this deck, so that's what they went with. Han Solo pilot, because of the amount of space units they have with the Falcon in there, makes sense. Kazuda, I mean, you're defeating resources. I'm surprised there's no Broken Horns in here or any Chams, but I guess, you know, that combo of defeating your resource and then playing that unit to ramp doesn't work well enough for this deck. Rose Tico, if they had maybe less uniques, like maybe this is why they're running the Sheathipede in the N1s, is, you know, get the non-uniques out there for the Rose Tico. Like, obviously, I was doing it in Aquire, I was running Rose because I'm making X-Wings, or I was just running Queen to make Spies, which, you know, Karis will feed into that too. But I just don't know if they can ready Rose often enough with the amount of unique units in this deck, and maybe that's why they only have 1 of her. B-Wing for those pesky Vader players, and I mean, it's just a 4-cost 4/4 in space. Beguile, bogged down in procedure, not a card you see a whole lot of, but I mean, it makes sense. 2 exhausts for a 3-cost and a reveal. Commence Patrol, I mean, if you're hating on Anakin, or you're really just trying to play Commence turn 1 and Chewbacca ability, but that's kind of an odd turn 1. I think it's just more of a curve filler. Commence the festivities. Makes sense. System shock makes sense. Moral authority. Can't speak English. I mean, plop that on Chewie is my guess. Yeah, sideboard. I mean, they've got the upgrade hate, the credit hate, and the ship hate, and then they've got the sapper as just a card. It's just there. Pretty fun deck. I mean, I like the aggro decks. I like playing them. I like testing them, but I'm not like a huge aggro person. So, Boba. I have a Lake Country video that I made like 2 hours ago, then got distracted and came back and did this. I mean, it kind of just works right now. This is like one of the current 3 decks that I think are the contenders for the top 3, that being Luke, Lando, and Boba. So 2/3 of what I'm thinking are the biggest part of the meta are space decks, unfortunately. You gotta tech for them, people. It just kind of works. Like, if you have initiative, Pride is a menace to society, getting you 5 damage value if you exhaust your leader on a swing. Yeah, and with everyone playing a 2/4, he trades okay into units. Like, they're not just going to one-shot him. There's less 3/3s going around. Cyril Karn, very fun card. Punishing one works. Like, all of these ships just work. They just feed into Boba, they're getting your pings, you're doing the indirect. You've got cards like Ag Nag for pump, System Shock for just more upgrade removal, Topple for the big flips, Collateral Damage is a card I love, Charged with Treason just for the, it's your new open fire. Prototype Advanced I don't love. I think there's better cards they could play in the deck, but that's just me. And then, 3 Devastators. In the sideboard, no PBs is kind of surprising, but also Control is not a thing. Not a real thing right now. Lots of one-offs I'm seeing in people's sideboards. I don't know if you guys are just testing right now. I mean, you can't really expect a meta, so that is part of it. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward deck. I mean, play unit, swing unit, ping, do indirect. Yippee. Luke. There is another one. I mean, this one's pretty similar. I'm going to name the different cards, but that's about it. They've got typhos, which means, they're playing the more mid-rangey Luke, which I think Luke is. I don't think it's the aggro deck that people think or thought that it was going to be. It's more of a grindy mid-range deck. Obviously, it leans closer to aggro, but it is a little bit closer to mid-range. I think if you're playing it the stronger way. So they've got the Typho just to deal with those ground units a little bit more. The Resistance Blue Squadron is going to help you deal with ground units again more. Sabine's Masterpiece. I like the card. It's definitely weaker without ECL or Timely, but it makes sense. And then they've got the Heavy Bomber to just pile it onto and ruin somebody's day. Sideboard, pretty similar. They've got the Kellerans, the Arvals, Tantive to go wide, I assume, and then Dismantle the Conspiracy is a card. I mean, it's just for those go wide decks again. So yeah, pretty simple. They have a different. They got the Starhopper as one of their turn 1s. I mean, there's a lot of turn 1 options. You kind of just got to figure out what's the best, right? Which Luke players will never agree on. And then here, a deck that came second, but there was also another Vader that came second. I just want to highlight, even in a Luke heavy meta, the Vader players are finding a way to make it work. And I think a big part of this is just the fact that they're not being as tricky as they were before. They don't have the outmaneuvers and whatnot, but what they do have is Beguile, Craving Power, Lurking Snub Fighters, and Death Space Skirmishers. So they're still exhausting your stuff. Your leader's not safe when you flip it. Your big units aren't safe when you play them. They're gonna get exhausted. And I think, especially with things like the Screeching TIE Fighter, they're just able to get through the Space Sentinels. That one's the ground ones. You get to get rid of the, you get punched through the Space Sentinels, and then the Screeching TIE Fighter, you get to get rid of Restore. You're able to chip away. Some things are never going to leave this deck. You've got Victor Leader still here. Their turn 1s have changed a little bit. They're playing less 1-drop heavy, because really they only have 5 good 1-drops, which is still a lot. They're almost as heavy as it was before. They're just not as good. But overall, every deck is less good. They're playing Chancellor Palpatine. They're playing Galen Erso. Wow. But I mean, it makes sense. Here, I'm going to create 8 million not X-Wings, dear God, TIE fighters. And then I'm going to give them all Raid 1 and Saboteur. So, there you go. There's your answer to those Space Sentinels. I mean, the sideboard makes sense. Tip the scale. Getting rid of Agneg or your hyperspace disasters. Arrest, Gorindin, Chewbacca. I love the off-color Chewbacca's. I did it in Dooku for a while, and it's just fun. And then you've got Palpatine, just for the third one. It all makes sense. I mean, the one off of Haymaker is like, yeah, but I mean, it works. That's it, though. That's all. The meta's kind of expected. I mean, I'm going to share my thoughts on it. People are going to complain about space decks. They're going to complain about how good they are. Grand decks are still going to win. They're going to do just fine. I think the meta is slowly going to move away from space as everybody starts teching for it. It's like Vader, right? Before rotation, we saw Vader was strong. Everyone teched for it. Vader fell off. People slowly stopped teching for Vader, and then Vader snuck in a few wins in there. It's how it goes. It's how the deck works. It's how the entire meta kind of goes for Star Wars historically. It's actually pretty split. It's pretty balanced. I hate to be one of those people who's like, oh, the meta is really balanced. You're just complaining. But like, this is one of those times where the meta is good. Like Star Wars has had a pretty solid meta historically. There have been some problems. We've seen Jango Fett. We saw early Boba Fett. But they're generally resolved. And I mean, the later we've gotten in the game, the better it's been. There was a reason for the rotation. I mean, I think control gets too strong without a rotation this early in a game. It kind of makes sense. Once aggro gets better cards and mid-range get better cards, maybe Eternal will be the better format. We'll see all three archetypes, but I can't predict the future, man. I'm predicting this set to a mediocre level. And here's the list, okay? Tier 1, we've got, for this week, this is going to last like 2-3 weeks, okay? We've got Luke, Boba, and Lando. You know, tier 2 decks, you've got those Obi-Wan players, right? There's not a whole lot else. I mean, like, there's Tobias, there's Chewie and Enfys that are going to do well. Tobias is really just playing off of Agneg. Same with the Velsartha decks and the Jin decks. They're playing red-blue because they're just playing Agneg there. Yularen, I mean, it's just another aggro deck. Chewie, Enfys, kind of. There's a lot of aggro in the meta, if you're going to notice. Talzin, Maul, Aura, you're not going to see a whole lot of yet. Because they just... I mean, they're decks that take a little bit more time to work out, for sure. Because they have to tech for things, or else they just lose. And then overall, I just think they don't have enough cards for control yet to be where it was at before the rotation. But we'll see. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.